Hey ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Injured Gadgets Samsung Galaxy S6 Complete Take Apart and Removal Guide and Reinstallation. So today we're going to be taking apart the Galaxy S6. First off, make sure your phone is cut off if you can. And to remove the back cover, since it is glass, you're going to need to use a heat gun. We set our heat gun to about 190 degrees Fahrenheit. And you're just going to heat up the back completely. And please note, if your back is not cracked, you obviously want to be very careful with this because it is a glass back, so it can crack very easily if you don't take your time. We're going to use our iSesamo tool and kind of just dig in from one of the corners, make sure it's heated up well, and you're just going to go across the entire back with a playing card. That's what I recommend if your back is not cracked, because the playing card is going to be gentle enough to not actually break any of the glass or kind of tear it apart. Next, using a Phillips screwdriver, you're going to remove the screws on the back of the Samsung Galaxy S6. Please note a lot of these screws are covered up by some adhesive tape. I'm going to show you guys how to remove that. We're using our iFixit tweezer set and our iFixit 54-bit toolkit right here, but you guys can use any micro Phillips. What we notice is all these screws are the exact same size, so you don't have to worry about mixing them up. We still like to put them in the order we took them out, but we notice they are the exact same size. Okay, with all the screws removed, we're going to go ahead and separate the back from the front. You're just going to push on the battery, that little black part where my thumb is, and you'll be able to separate that housing from the front whole assembly of the phone. If you haven't already, go ahead and remove your SIM card. That's kind of why mine is stuck right here. I forgot to remove the SIM card. But like I said, if you haven't already, go ahead and use a SIM ejector tool and remove the SIM card. Alright, so we're going to disconnect a few things right here before we do anything else. At the very bottom above this little red antenna flex cable, we're going to disconnect that flex cable right there that my thumb is on. Next, after that, we're going to go ahead and disconnect the battery right there, that little top flex cable. So if you're replacing the battery, that's what you're going to replace along with the actual battery itself. Then this right here is the LCD and Digitizer connection on the left. This phone looked to be water damaged, that's why you see that little white corrosion on that flex cable. But we're going to go ahead and remove that. And then you're going to go ahead and, if you wanted to, disconnect the cameras that I'm going to show you guys right here. And with those removed, the board can kind of pry loose a little bit, but you're going to want to go ahead and disconnect these coaxial antenna flex cables on the bottom, as well as the flex cable shown here. Alright, so here I'm going to show you guys what you're going to be replacing if you're doing the front screen LCD and Digitizer assembly. This is our replacement part right here, and essentially you're going to want to remove the front screen assembly using a heat gun or whatever it may be, and you will be replacing it with this part here. Alright, so to remove it, go ahead and use your heat gun, set it to about 190 degrees Fahrenheit, and you're going to remove the front LCD Digitizer assembly. If your LCD is already cracked, go ahead and be rough with this. However, if it's not cracked and you can actually see the LCD, I recommend being a little careful, because if you can save the LCD, then we obviously buy them back on our website, and we pay, I think right now, 50 or 60 bucks for a good LCD on these. We use a little X-Acto spudger, but you guys can use an iSesamo tool or whatever it may be to separate the glass from the back housing. Obviously, there's going to be some leftover static shields and whatnot. You can remove those. You'll see me removing them in the video here. And when you get the new screen, it's going to have some stuff on the back of it, like a little adhesive tape and everything like that. You're going to remove that. But right here, I'm removing the little static shields on the back. You do want to remove these, just because your screen may not sit flush if those are still there. Alright, so here's that little green adhesive on the back. You're going to go ahead and remove that. And then on our website we carry a double-sided Precut adhesive. So we're going to use that double-sided Precut adhesive to lay around this screen, and it'll kind of secure your screen to the new frame. So this is the double-sided adhesive. We're going to go ahead and peel that. Be very careful with it, because if you peel it quickly, you can kind of mess up the adhesive sheet. So here, since I had never actually done an S6 repair before, I was trying to decide whether to put it on the frame housing or on the actual screen itself. I decided to put it on the screen itself. However, you can put that adhesive on the frame housing or whatever you like. It just depends on your own personal preference. Alright, so with that screen back on the frame and everything, we're going to go ahead and reattach our motherboard. Make sure to plug in this flex cable on the very back first. It goes into the back of the motherboard, obviously, so make sure that's plugged in, otherwise your phone will not turn on. And then you're going to go ahead and plug in those little two coaxial cables. You want to make sure your board is completely flush when you're doing this right here. So essentially I'm checking to make sure that the board is flush. After I plug in the left flex cable, I kind of realize that my board's not sitting down the way I want it to sit down. It's not sitting down completely straight. So I'm going to go ahead and relift it right here. And I realized that the battery connection was actually under the board. So obviously make sure that your little flex cables are not under the board, because it's not going to sit flush. I plug in all my flex cables here, my coaxial cables on the bottom, and then lastly is when you want to connect the battery flex cable. You don't want to connect the battery flex cable first and then the others, just because it could cause something to short circuit. So obviously I like to send power to the phone last, after everything else has been connected. Alright, so at this point go ahead and put your back cover back on. If it's not going down completely flush, if it's not sitting the way you think it should, that means you did something wrong in the last step. And you'll want to go ahead and go back to the last step if it's not sitting completely flush. Next, using your Phillips screwdriver, go ahead and put all those screws right back in. Alright, so here we're going to go ahead and replace the back cover as well. We have this double-sided adhesive tape we're going to use. If this is not on our website, you can buy it elsewhere, but there is this double-sided adhesive. We're going to place it on the back cover of the brand new back, obviously, because you want it to stick down just like the original would have. And with the back completely secure now, we're going to go ahead and use our little mini clips. If you don't have these, you can just use a book or something heavy to kind of secure the adhesive on both ends of this. I'd probably leave it on for 30 minutes to an hour or so, but these little clips right here will go ahead and make sure that the adhesive sets and the phone has time to cure. Alright, so there you guys have it. There's the Samsung Galaxy S6 repair. Visit us at injuredgadgets.com.